Holman was upset, I suppose, because he felt that you were giving advice to people who were here illegally. Mm-hmm. Were you?
I was giving advice to all of my constituents. Yeah.
He said he was going to report you, or even that he did reach out to the Department of Justice. Have you heard from the Department of Justice?
And we are back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, people. You know, it helps us out a million, and it only costs you not even half of one. So do that for your boy. Certainly appreciate it. It helps me out. And of course, it helps you because it helps us. It helps us keep bringing you this content. Now, y'all, we're going to follow up on, if you remember, there was a spat between AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Hallman, who is the new immigration border czar. And AOC was on I think it was YouTube Live, and she was giving out some advice to people on how to avoid detection, people who are in the country without permission. She's telling them how to avoid detection by the federal government who might want to deport them. And Holman did not like that. He actually said he was going to talk to the Department of Justice about that to try to find out if AOC's actions are even legal. So let's play a quick clip where AOC is going to comment on this. And then we are going to get into a letter that AOC wrote to the Department of Justice to try to determine if they have her under investigation.
You had a recent dispute, if that's the right word, with Tom Homan, the president's Homeland Security czar, so-called. You held an online forum, a Know Your Rights forum, that he didn't like. What were you doing? What was your goal as you saw it?
My job is to educate and act as a liaison of critical information to my constituents. And I was informing all of my constituents of their constitutional protections, and in particular, their constitutional protections against illegal search and seizure in the United States.
Holman was upset, I suppose, because he felt that you were giving advice to people who were here illegally. Mm-hmm. Were you?
I was giving advice to all of my constituents. Yeah.
He said he was going to report you, or even that he did reach out to the Department of Justice. Have you heard from the Department of Justice?
I have not, and I intend on reaching out to the Department of Justice to inquire.
Really? What would your question be for the Department of Justice?
Well, there is a member of the Trump administration who is threatening and seeks to open an inquiry, and are you going to do it?
What would you learn? What do you hope to learn from that exchange?
I think it's important to know where this administration stands and if they intend on using political intimidation to silence their critics.
So now let's take a look at this news report, and we're going to take a look at the letter that AOC wrote. So the report says AOC asks Pam Bondi, so this is the head prosecutor at the DOJ. AOC asks Pam Bondi if the DOJ is investigating her for telling illegal immigrants how to avoid ICE. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez asked U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi on Thursday whether the Department of Justice is investigating her office for teaching illegal immigrants how to avoid the Trump administration's mass deportations earlier this month. AOC's congressional office and Lawyers with Immigrant Defense Project also held a, quote, Know Your Rights with ICE, quote, webinar 2 weeks ago, educating illegal immigrants at risk of deportation about their rights and how U.S. immigration and customs enforcement gathers information and enforces immigration laws. Now, she wrote a letter, y'all. Let's just skip over to the letter. So that's what you see on the thumbnail there. It is, now I want y'all to look at this letter. This is from AOC's office. She calls Pam Bondi the Honorable Pam Bondi. And if you notice at the bottom, she CCs the Honorable Donald J. Trump. Isn't that interesting? Never thought I would see AOC referring to Donald Trump as honorable, but there you have it. Dear Attorney General Bondi, I write to request clarity on whether the Department of Justice has yielded to political pressure and attempts to weaponize the agency against elected officials whose speech they disagree with. Over the past 2 weeks, quote, border czar, quote, Tom Homan has gone on multiple forums threatening political persecution against me, citing resources I distributed, informing my constituents and the American public of their constitutional and legal rights. On February 13, 2025, Mr. Homan announced that he had asked the Deputy Attorney General to open an investigation and that I will be, quote, in trouble now, quote. It has been 14 days since Mr. Homan first threatened to weaponize your agency, but I have not yet heard any referral from the federal government. Homan's actions undercut core constitutional rights, and further transparency is necessary. I am sure you are aware of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Indeed, last week, Vice President Vance said that, quote, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square. Quote, Mr. Homan's repeated attempts to use your agency to politically intimidate duly elected officials are a textbook threat to the right of freedom of speech in the United States. Threatening criminal proceedings for exercising the First Amendment is itself a violation of the First Amendment. Educating the public about their rights, especially in a time of rising uncertainty, is a key part of our responsibility as elected officials. A government that uses threats of DOJ investigations to suppress free speech is a threat to all, regardless of political ideology. Please respond no later than March 5th, 2025, with an update on the Department of Justice's response to Mr. Homan's request and transparency as to whether my office or myself is actively under investigation for exercising their First Amendment rights and executing on our congressional responsibilities. Signed, AOC. So there y'all have it. Now we're going to shoot into another clip from this same NPR interview, which gives a little bit more context. Let me know what y'all think about this. Do you think that AOC is just exercising her First Amendment rights? Or is she teaching people how to break the law and how to get away with it? Is teaching people how to break the law and get away with it as an elected official, does that fall under the First Amendment? What do you think? Okay, I want to hear what y'all have to say. Y'all, I really appreciate y'all watching this. Please do like, please do comment. And before you do anything else, stop right now, hit the share button, put in a text message of somebody, text number, WhatsApp, email address, something. Just share this video out. I want to hear what they have to say as well. We're going to flow right into another clip from this NPR interview. So let me know what y'all think. Let's get into it.
To what extent is immigration as an issue part of your problem with working class voters?
I mean, I guess my question would be what does the word problem mean?
People voting for the other side and not for you.
Yeah.
Feeling that Democrats are not serious about the issue in ways that concern them.
I think that we have a problem on immigration because of the lack of progress that we've had on this issue. And as we know, Republicans weaponized that lack of progress. Of course, there was famously a bipartisan bill last year that the Republican majority in the Senate and also in the House were willing to pass. President Biden was willing to work with them on it. And Donald Trump said, do not solve this problem. As long as it is broken, then it will be politically beneficial for us. And so it is a problem not just for Democrats. It's a problem for the entire country that Republicans do not want to solve any sort of issue with immigration. They are completely uninterested in addressing undocumented people, in addressing a path to citizenship.
Well, they do want to address undocumented people by removing them. I mean, that's what the president is attempting now.
Even then, you see what Republicans did with the Lake and Riley Act recently in their passage with it, in that they authorized the complete gutting of due process. So now you can take a DACA recipient, a dreamer, just accuse them of a crime
And deport them.
And however, they also understand that they don't even have the infrastructure to do that. So they're actually creating it's not even about creating a deportation pipeline. They are creating a private prison camp pipeline. So they're still creating pipelines to just increase this problem here in the United States.
Why do you think this issue did seem to be a political loser for Democrats among key groups and key constituencies, if what you say is true?
I think that a lack of a path to citizenship in the United States, the lack of addressing comprehensive immigration reform creates a large population of undocumented people in the United States. And that is allowed to be weaponized in many ways. We have a large population of undocumented people in the United States. Overwhelmingly, it is not because they crossed the southern border of the United States. It's because they came here in a documented fashion and overstayed a visa and became undocumented. And it is the lack of ability for us to expand paths to citizenship, modernize paths to citizenship over decades that create this bubbling issue that Republicans are allowed to weaponize.
And you have voters in places like Arizona, which is a swing state that Democrats lost, or Colorado, which is generally a blue state, saying there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of lawlessness.
Yes.
I don't know what to do here. Who's looking out after me?
And I think when that is paired with divestment from the social safety net, when that is paired with lack of progress on minimum wage, when that is paired with rising costs of living, it sets the stage for a strong man to point to any marginalized group and say it's their fault, instead of looking at the gross income inequality that we have and its actual causes in the United States. And so that, I think, is the quandary that Republicans find themselves in, because even on the debate stage, you had Vice President Vance and others trying to say that undocumented people are why we have a housing crisis in this country. And they can fulfill their entire agenda. You will never deport your way into more affordable rent. You're never going to deport your way into being able to make your mortgage meet or make your groceries more affordable. In fact, mass deportations may only make those things much more expensive, actually. And in my view, people voted to lower their groceries. People voted to try to make their lives affordable. And right now, the Trump administration is already running into roadblocks into fulfilling that promise. And they are in trouble. And that's an issue they're going to have to contend with.